Okay, I made a lot of stuff. This isn't even the socks. The socks I gave away to people. So they're not here. I think I might have filmed some of the socks in my last video, but we'll see. Hi, and welcome back to Marissa Knits, podcast where I show the stuff that I knit. Hi, I'm Marissa. I was gone all of March. I actually meant to film by the end of March, and then I got this terrible, terrible cold that's been 2 weeks long, and I think I can talk today. We're gonna find out. Starting things off, I finished this, I think in February actually. This is a free pattern. The pattern is by Yarnspirations, and the yarn is actually what the pattern is made for here. We're gonna back you up. Alrighty, now you're actually able to see it. This is the color rosewater plum of the Caron marblecakes. It's an Aran weight yarn, and they designed this pattern to go with this yarn. I got 3 skeins of it on clearance in January, and then it was probably discontinued, they weren't making any more of it, so I got some of the last of this yarn. I did talk about it, I think, in another video, but one thing that was interesting about making this, since it seamed together, is you really had to plan out where you wanted the colors to fall throughout the garment. So I started by making the back, like it said, which is just some stripes. And then I made the fronts 2 at a time from the front and back of the same ball of yarn. I'm pretty sure that's what I did, if I remember correctly. So I made the fronts 2 at a time, alternating the rows on the same set of needles, just, different ends of the yarn. And I did make a size small. I was kind of trying to make a size medium, but then I realized that it was only 3 extra stitches on the back and front panels, right there. So it wasn't that much of a difference, and I was realizing that I thought it was going to be bigger than I had imagined. And so I just ended up decreasing those stitches on the sides and going back to a size small. So I made the back, then I made the fronts, and then I actually sewed the sides of them together into a vest looking thing. And then I made the pockets because I was realizing I wanted to be able to control where the red was going to fall in the sleeves. And I wanted some of the red in one of the pockets. I kind of was able to make that happen, but not really. If I had waited until the very, very last minute, I would have just had leftover colors for the pockets and also for this border. And I didn't want that. So I did have to plan out where I wanted to start, if I wanted to start from this end of the skein or what. And then these sleeves, I actually did make them in the round because I'm too lazy to sew up the sides. So I made them in the rounds. I also did them 2 at a time. I have 2 sets of size US 6 double pointed needles. And then I ended up kind of transitioning to circulars by the end here. And then I sewed the whole thing together. This was really educational for me in seaming. I think I did a good job. I had not done much seaming in a long time. I hadn't done mattress stitch almost ever until I was making this. And I didn't do the greatest job on these shoulders. I just kind of didn't really follow any set of instructions for them. Those are my increases. They were making a hole for some reason. So I think I could have redone this shoulder seam and done a better job, but whatever. I don't have any complaints about how I sewed in the sleeves. I think those are fine. The one issue with the cardigan is this neckband. There's no buttons on it. It's a little bit too tight. I should have done more rows as I was connecting it to the rest of the garment. And I was pretty close to ripping it out and redoing it. I was planning on ripping it out and doing it over because I have a little bit of extra yarn that I could use up, but instead I've just been yanking on it at full force. I think the part around my neck is going pretty well. The last time I washed it, I clipped the ends of it stretched out, but it didn't help that much. But I think that over time, as I wear it, the neckband is getting stretched out. My cat is annoyed that I'm not paying attention to her, so she is scratching her scratch post. Hi, do you want to participate? So I would say that the cardigan is a little bit too baggy. It's a little bit big. I've been wearing it kind of like a jacket. Like I've been wearing it to work instead of a coat. And my cat also doesn't like it apparently. The pockets are really nice for my keys and everything. I wish that there was less material here, that it's wanting to fold over. I wish there was just less fabric, because I really don't need there to be that much fabric, you know what I mean? I get that it's supposed to be oversized, but I was kind of going off the measurements of a store-bought cardigan I have that I love that is very similar to this, but I think because it's a more lightweight kind of a material, it flows a little bit more and it doesn't get in my way so much, whereas this is just a lot of fabric. But the yarn was really cheap. The yarn was like $18, and I learned a lot from the sewing, and people really seemed to like it. People were complimenting me at work when I had it on today. I like the colors. I like that raspberry color. I like the lavender color. There's a lot of good things about it. I also like, that I immediately spilled an egg on it, for example. I was, the first day I wore it, I spilled an egg, right there. And I had to clean it off. So I like that it's something I knit that I can get dirty and spill food on. And it's not upsetting to me. I'm not worried about hurting it because it's acrylic, it's washable, and I don't love it that much. It's pretty cozy. Yeah, for something that I'm saying I don't like, I really sure have been wearing it a lot, and I think it is. The colors are nice. There's lots of good things about it. So all in all, I think I would recommend the pattern. Just know that, I don't know, I would really look at the front measurements on your body, because there's nothing wrong with the back measurements, I don't think. But it's extremely oversized. If you're looking for an extremely oversized, free cardigan pattern at about an Aran weight, you could honestly probably make this in worsted or DK. I think if I just made this in DK, I would be a lot happier. And I wouldn't even be that far off of gauge, and there would be less bunchy fabric all over the place. So, yeah, I don't want to spend any more time talking about this. So I'm going to change into my flower block pullover. Behold, this is my flower block pullover. I am obsessed with how it looks. It is really, 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 really cute. It is an early 80s pattern by the British designer Sue Bradley. There's no projects on Ravelry, there's just me. I found it on Ravelry. I saw it. The sample was in blue, a turquoise and tan, and then the white and black was basically the same. I saw it, and I was like, I have to have that. I fell completely head over heels in love. And then I went shopping through some of my scraps. Most of this is scraps. The boucle is Knitpicks boucle. It's a fingering weight that I held double. I tried to hold it triple back here, and it was way too wide and did not work at all. Although you can't even tell, but that I tried to hold triple, and it was not good. So I went to holding it double, and I accidentally bought 2 skeins of it instead of 1. So I have a lot of it left. I think I'm literally just going to give it away because I absolutely cannot stand to work with the boucle because you catch the loops in the subsequent rows, and it drives me absolutely nuts. So this is a seamed intarsia pattern. I hadn't really done intarsia before, and that's caught there. There's an end that's coming through. I'll have to fix that, but I'm pretty proud of my intarsia. Oh. Just the ends of some of my plant sections are a little weird. I had to duplicate stitch there. What happened was with the black and white, the leaf parts, I was carrying the yarn across the whole time. I didn't want to cut it apart and have 5 different balls of white. And so I was just not careful enough with the joins for the black and white. I did an especially bad job here on the back. You just can't really tell because since it's a plant looking thing, the texture at the edges of the black and white, it's okay if it's a little bit fuzzy because it's meant to be a plant anyway. So yeah, I'm pretty proud of my intarsia. For somebody who hadn't done intarsia before, I think I nailed it. I'm also really proud of my seams because you can't even tell like with the ribbing really where the seam is. I mean, you can, but to me it does almost look like I just knit it in the round. That's how clean the seams are. Very straight lines there. And so I'm very proud of that. One thing I had to change, I made a size 1, which is the sizes are basically small, medium, large. I mean, it's from the 80s, so that's what the sizes were, and they're not terribly different from each other. That size was supposed to end like right here, and what happened was I didn't want to do 4 inches of ribbing because I thought it was too much. So instead I had to make up some of my ribbing there, and then I was worried about how the sleeve shaping was going to be, so I ended up like kind of inventing my own shaping, and I had to add a ton of rows. I just decided to add the main color in because I was running out of this pink. The pink is left over from a baby blanket I made, and I only had like 48 grams of it. I don't really know what it is. The red is maroon Plymouth DK, and the white is also Plymouth, so those two are Plymouth. The black is Knitted Wit DK in the color Guy Noir. And then I'm going to sit down and talk about the main color. All right, so this purple and this pink with the flecks in it are both Emma's yarn. They're actually half cotton and then half wool. And this purple color is heavy pour. I got 2 balls of it, so 200 grams. And I basically used it up. I have almost none left, essentially none left. And then I had 1 ball of this pink color with the green in it, and that is called Plant Lady. And they're beautiful. Excuse me. The thing is, like, this is one of the itchiest things I own. Like, it's so incredibly itchy, and I do have pretty sensitive skin. So I have to wear it over another shirt, which is probably a good choice anyway, because I don't want to make it all sweaty and like damage it, because it really is a piece of art. I wish I'd done different increases there, because I don't like the holes that I made. I wish I'd done one that was more invisible. Yeah, I learned a lot. Sewing these 2 seamed garments together. I hadn't really seamed in a while. I'm pretty happy with like the drop shoulder fit. I think it's really cute. Yeah, I think I am more ready to do more seamed garments after these. And this particular one, I actually looked up how to sew a shoulder join and followed those instructions, and I nailed it. It's a lot better than my other one, and I have officially redeemed myself. Yep. My coworkers and everyone have been like complimenting me on these, but they don't compliment me that much because when they see what I'm wearing, in their brain it looks so professional that they're like, she can't have made that because it's not possible to make that. Therefore, she just like bought that from the store. That's been the case with basically everything I've made in 2024 so far, especially with my swan show that was in the previous 2 videos, and then with this. My coworkers who know I knit, eventually some of them are like, did you make that though? And I'm like, yes, I did make this. So that's been really fun. I've worn this several times. I know you might be thinking like, Marissa, it's April, like what are you doing with this entire giant pullover with the double neck and the huge cardigan that you admit is way too big for you? And why did you make a spring scarf that is like double layers of fabric all the way around? Why? I live in central Wisconsin. And we did get a snowstorm earlier this week, and a lot of people lost power for a while. We only lost power for one evening. It was after the snowstorm, so I'm not really sure what happened there. So I definitely have gotten the opportunity. I've been wearing this as like a jacket instead of wearing my actual coat. I've definitely had the opportunity to wear my full, they're like winter knits basically, just in spring colors. Here in Wisconsin, we don't really have the season of spring. We really don't. I mean, we have some days that seem kind of like spring, but it's not. It's really not spring. It's just more winter that's a bit warmer. To me, it's really nice and warm out, and so I don't wear a coat anymore, so I'll just wear like a sweater, a pullover, or a cardigan. I wear a sweater like instead of a coat in the spring, but it definitely is very much still necessary. I can't breathe out my nose. Alright, I realized I needed to film these socks before I mail them to my grandparents. So, these are my grandma's socks. I'm concerned that the ankle is too tight, but my mom says that she has super small ankles, whatever that means. So, I changed them to be toe up, and I did a rounded heel, which I don't really like the look of, so I don't know if I'll do it again, but it's just good to get experience. And then I also did like a short row heel. And this is how far I got before I ran out of yarn. So these are just basically a test sock. I was hoping the lighting would be good out here, but it's raining. You can't even see the yellow flecks in my yarn, but they're there. Yeah, this is just a test sock to see if they fit her, and then I'll make her some ones that are longer. And then these are my grandpa's socks. I'm feeling pretty confident about the fit because I had my husband try them on for me. He has a slightly smaller shoe size than my grandfather, so I was just like making sure he could stretch them a little bit. They're a little more orange in person than they're coming across on camera, but yup. This is just like a standard sock pattern. Somebody is looking at me, which is very amusing. It's just like a slip stitch heel. Nothing unusual about it. I really like how the colors didn't pool in weird ways. I like how random they look. So these are their socks, and I'm gonna just go to the post office and put them in an envelope and mail them to their house with no warning. Alright, we're gonna have a little bit of a sock interlude at this point. I made one of my grandmas and grandpas, I made them pairs of socks and mailed it to them. My grandma's didn't fit at all, so that was my bad because I didn't follow real instructions for the heel. So I remade hers. She's a women's size 6, so it only took me like 4 days. I made her socks in this color Windsday, like from Winnie the Pooh, Windsday. That color by Goosey Fibers. I really, really love their colors. It's absolutely gorgeous. And I like Winnie the Pooh a lot. My dad's actually a big Winnie the Pooh fan, so I made my grandma's socks in these colors. They're just the season socks by Summerlee. And I'll put a picture up that I took of them. I brought them to my parents' house when I was working on the second one, and because they don't really know that much about Taylor Swift, and they have really good surround sound. So we put the Eras Tour on, had them watch the whole thing, and I knit through the entire sock. It was like from a bit after the heel of the second sock, I just straight up finished the sock at their house because it was before they were going to see my grandparents at like a family thing that I wasn't going to. So I just like speed finished the second sock, grafted the toe, took some pictures of them, and was like, here, give those to grandma, and then drove home. So I'm pretty proud of that. I have at this point a pretty good sense of how long it's going to take me to finish something. So when I say, like, I'm bringing this sock to this place, I'm going to be there for 4 hours and I'm going to finish it, 100% I intend to finish it, and I did finish it. And then, actually before those socks, I had made these socks. They were going to my aunt's house, and she's actually my godmother, and I just all of a sudden decided to make her socks for her birthday, and I had already gotten this color in the same order, I think. Actually, this might have been a more recent order. I ordered twice from Goosey Fibers because I was really happy with the colors I got the first time. And this color is from the Velveteen Rabbit collection, and it's called Faithful Guardian. So you can't even see it. So it's like a gray, and it has flecks of blue and yellow and a little bit of red in it. I will have to post pictures of her finished socks as well. I made her the Stillwater socks, also by Summer Lee. I had gotten several patterns by her, and she said they fit really well. She apparently, like, cried, because I've never really gotten her something for her birthday before. It's one of those things where, you know, when you're the godchild, your entire life, your aunt or your uncle, whoever, will, like, mail you a card, or, like, just mail you a card that says happy birthday. And then at a certain point, when you're getting close to 30, you realize, wait a second, like, maybe it's just me, but I have started to realize as I've been getting through my 20s, like, I should be doing things. I should be, like, maybe giving things back to my older relatives who've been doing that for me my whole life. Like, I'm an adult now. It's hard with my grandparents because they do not want gifts ever of anything. They don't want stuff. But I think hand knit socks are something, since they spend so much time at home, that are really, really useful for them. So, yep, my aunt was really, really happy, and she cried. And the next day she told me she wore them all day, and she sent me a picture of her wearing them. Like, that was our sock interlude. The other socks I'm making with the scraps from my Fiberfest shawl. So I'm going to show the Fiberfest shawl first. This is by Stephen West. It's a pretty new pattern. I saw it, and I was pretty excited about the border when I first saw it, and here we go. This is mine. What I decided to do, and there was somebody else who did this also, I decided to break up color B and use a couple different scraps in these sections of, like, basically scraps that I wasn't sure what I was going to do with them otherwise, because they're kind of awkwardly sized scraps where I can't really make socks out of them anymore. So this is just like a magenta one. I had made a different Stephen West pattern with this bright purple color as the base. I think I might have even had 200 grams of it originally. And then I used a bunch of it in my sister-in-law's, like, Halloween cowl. And then this is a very variegated, extremely variegated. It's like bright pink and dark blue and white. And then the in-between sections are actually a brioche that are two different colors. It's just so hard to tell because they're really similar colors. And, oh no, here they are. So the tan is also by Goosey Fibers, and it's called Seaside. It's from the Little Women collection, and it reminds me, if you're familiar with the musical, like the 90s stage musical version of Little Women, not the opera or any of the other versions, but that one. There is a song called Some Things Are Meant to Be, and it typically takes place, like, at the ocean on the seaside. And so when I read the name of the yarn, it's like a tan and cream, and there's a little bit of, like, bluish purples in it, and, like, purple flecks in it. They're very subtle. So there's that, and then this is a Malabrigo, and I'm going to have to put the color in the description because I lost the number, like, with the color card, and I know it doesn't, like, officially have a dye lot, which is confusing to me, so yeah, it's really, really, really beautiful. So those two were the ones that were, the tan was my color A, and so the tan is these rows of different bumps that goes throughout those stripes, and those two are the ones that are in the brioche. And something I decided to do that I'm glad I did is I reversed, you can tell, I reversed the brioche for one of these brioche sections where I had, this is really the iPad is doing its very, very best to capture the lighting for you. So I switched it up and I had the pink be the main color in this brioche section, just so that we could see a little bit more of the pink, because I really regret that the pink is so beautiful, and I wish that I hadn't hid so much of it on the back of the work, you know, as the in-between brioche color. I almost wish I'd reversed them, but I don't know. The border was not as bad to make as I thought it would be. This really went pretty fast. I made this in a couple weeks. I also shockingly had accurate stitch counts, like basically the entire time. I was sick as well. I took this when I was staying with my sister-in-law for a couple days in the Twin Cities as like one of my projects while I was there. I did like a bunch of this section while I had like a terrible, terrible fever while I was there. She had gone to class and I was just doing fever knitting basically. And then the end of this, I was sick again with a cold recently, as I said, for the end of it. But yeah, we made it through, blocked it. What I like about this is it's only 3 skeins instead of his like 4 or 5 yarn ball projects. So it's still big, but it is a lot more wearable as just a regular person without having to make it a statement that takes over like your whole outfit basically. So I typically wear it like this. I wore it on Easter actually when I was at church. I'm a church choir director, so this was part of my Easter outfit this year. Oh, I forgot to tell you what the purple is. The purple, I'm so glad I decided to use this. This is from Jojoland, and says it's Melody Superwash, number 28. 100% wool. Yeah, I hope that's enough information for you. Oh no, I'm so sorry. So this is like a bluish purple, and then some of it's more of a purpley purple. You can see both of them there. This was fun to make. Brioche, when you're doing 550 stitches of it, it takes a long time. When it takes like 20 minutes to get across an entire row, that's like, yikes. But, one thing I was going to say about this is what I like about the short rows, all of these are short row sections. The ones with like it's almost like, looks like baubles, even though they're not really baubles, the fake baubles in there. What I like about those is you actually start with the longest one, and then they get progressively shorter. So, for example, at the start here, you do the longest rows first, you go all the way across, all the way back, and just as you're thinking like, oh my goodness, this is taking me forever, I'm never going to get through all 12 repeats of this section, they just get progressively shorter. And so by the time you're like halfway through, you're actually more than halfway through if you counted up the total number of stitches. And then the last couple of them just fly by. So it's the opposite as most short rows, you have the shortest ones first, and then you're just having more and more and more and more work to do. With these short rows, you start by investing the most work right away, going all the way across, and then you just get lazier and lazier. And mentally, that made things a lot easier for me. I really like how the eyelets fall. This is just very well planned out. I think this is my first Stephen West pattern that has sections. I had made one that's just an entire texture last summer, and I did not enjoy that. I don't like doing the same thing for like 1,500 yards or whatever. I don't like that, so I'm not sure why I would have picked a project for myself that was the same texture, and I probably won't be doing that again. This was very entertaining, and I liked making it. I've worn it a couple times. I mean, I blocked it. Yeah, I blocked it like the day before Easter, and then Easter morning I just went downstairs and like pulled the pins out of it. Thankfully, since it's lacy, it was already dry, and just flung it over my body. So, yeah, I've only had it for like a week, but I have been wearing it to church multiple times, and I recommend the pattern. So, I don't think I've talked about this at all. This is a spring doodle cowl that I made. I made a lot of it, a big chunk of it in February. I started with this red, and unfortunately the red, oh, you can't even tell on camera, that's great. The red I feel like is bleeding absolutely everywhere. Maybe it's not bleeding everywhere. I guess you can't tell. So this is the, I bought multiple doodle patterns. I bought 3 of them. I got the Valentine's one because there was some flowers in it that I liked, the floral one, and the mountain one. And then I mixed them all together, and then I just like invented some charts by Googling like duck knit chart, the original pattern. It does have some blank sections where you can draw out your own idea. The concept is like spring mountain. It's like spring, winter, mountains, floral, I don't even know. That was the concept. And then I have this like floral kind of inspired thing. It blocked out really well. You couldn't see it at all before I blocked it. Next we have one of my favorites. I didn't want to do the bees, I didn't want butterflies, I don't know, I just wasn't feeling it. I saw the snails, I was like, yes, absolutely, I need the snails. They're so cute. I'm obsessed with the snails. So that's their little like antenna. And I know it's a little bit hard to see. And my 3 color is so like bulky. I think it looks good, but it doesn't feel, I can feel how bumpy it is inside of the fabric. I also, so I did infinity, like it's just an infinity tube. So you just keep knitting in circles, and then you don't even really, you're supposed to secure the ends. I do secure them. You're supposed to weave in the ends. I don't weave them in. Like, it's inside of a tube. Can you see the ends? No, you can't see them. You can't see them. Therefore, it doesn't matter. So, yeah, I wish I'd been maybe a little more careful about my 3 color. Next, we have this kind of floral pattern. It's a lower contrast. And then this is the ugliest part of it. I was going to do like a border later on that was reversed, but I ran out of this yellow. I was using just a ton of scraps. So there's another floral one with this really hideous border. Oh, it's so ugly, but whatever, that's fine. Oh, this is filming so well. You can't see this in person at all. It just looks like very, just very random, and like it doesn't look like it's of anything. It looks like it's just like speckly. But this is a little bit like a starry sky kind of a thing. There's little like stars like glistening in that one. And then I actually just kind of made up. I want it to be a little longer, so I made that up. Finally, we have my ducks. Again, the 3 color rows. Oh, I did some ladder backs in here, but it's still such a mess. You know, but I think the actual problem is that none of my yarn weights are the same. I was just grabbing scraps. And so this gray is a lot lighter than the green. And so it's like collapsing a bit. Like it can't hold up at this gauge the same way that the green maybe could. And also, I got this completely soaking wet like a couple days before the snowstorm, and it would not dry. Like it was gonna take this like 5 days literally for which makes sense because it's an entire double layer of fabric, and it just absolutely would not dry. And so I stuck it in the dryer for quite a while. I probably shouldn't have done that, but I had it on like air dry and low heat, and that might have messed it up a little bit too. But finally, yeah, it did eventually dry. I ended up grafting it while it was a little bit damp, and then moving it around the house. Like I baked something, and then I put it like right underneath the oven where like the oven was venting hot air, and then I left it like right out on top of one of our vents overnight, and it was mostly dry the next day. It was dry enough for me to finally wear it. The reason I wanted to wear it is because that's when the snowstorm was, and I felt really vindicated having made this like double thick infinity giant thick cowl for spring. As I was doing it and as I was looking at the projects, no one else is making infinity ones of any of these. And I was like, well, I need an infinity one because I live in Wisconsin and it's going to get cold again at some point. So, yeah, I've worn this several days this last week. I love this flower. It's so pretty. And then this is a feather. I looked up some feathers, some feather charts, and I actually ended up changing it quite a lot. So I would say that that feather is mostly self-drafted, if I recall correctly. And then this is my favorite section. I've got like different little tulips. Yeah, this probably needs to be reblocked. I should probably lay this out and spray it and try and get it to lay a little bit nicer. I decided I needed to have bunnies, so there they are. Then I have these mountains. And also, I finished knitting this on Easter. So I did this blue feather section in the car, and then we were both still sick. So we watched a ton of Succession, like the 3rd season, and I knit like literally all of this on Easter. It's actually, yeah. So this first half of it I had also knitted in like February and early March while we were watching Succession. And then I put it away, and then I picked it up again, and I just made all of this on Easter and then finished it. So we had the bunnies, then we had the mountains. So I took the mountain that was in the pattern, and they got way taller, and then there were stars in the sky, and I just kind of like whited out all of that to make it shorter. And then I got some flowers there. And then this is meant to be some little birds. You can kind of see that they're birds. You know, like the birds that you draw in elementary school that are just like a stretched out V, basically. There's a little bit of a twist to it. I got very confused by how to twist it and then graft it for some reason. So there's a bit of a twist to it, but I think it works. And there it is. It's kind of a little bit of an awkward length. I think I wish I made it a little smaller so that it would sit like around me like that. And it hangs down a little bit, but I mean, I would have had to make it at least twice as long to wrap it twice around my head. And that would be a lot of knitting and a lot of fabric that you wouldn't actually even be able to see. So I am really pleased with how this like eats up scraps. This purple was from, you can see it's the same, it's leftovers from this sweater. There's barely any left. I was only able to do like that 4 rows of tulips. That purple, like these random colors, I had tiny little balls of. I was basically almost using them up. And that yellow, like pastel yellow color, the yellow, and then with this bright blue, I was like knitting along, and I barely made it through the end of my row. Like I had like this much left at the end for several of those sections. So I had done a really good job guesstimating how many rows I could get out of the little balls of scraps that I had for this. I got a lot of knitting done this year so far. Like it's actually insane when I look at it. And then I have 2 new things that I've started that I can show you as well. One of them is I'm making socks with the scraps of this. So hold on. Yeah, there's really not a lot to show here. I'm making the Reverie pattern again. In my December gift knits videos, I made this pattern twice for my mom and my sister-in-law. This is all I have so far. So I have about 25 grams of each of these left from the Fiberfast shawl, and then a decent amount of the purple also, less than 50 grams of the purple. So I'm just going to do the tan, I think, on the leg, and then the pinker color on the foot with the purple as a contrast. And then I have some other scraps that match the tan really well that I might do like on the bottom of the heel just to use them up. So you'll be seeing that next time. This is the first sock. And I had to start it so I would have something to do at work. Today I went and played one song on like a band concert. And so I just did like 5 rows while I was there, and it's almost time for the baubles. So yeah, not a lot to see right now, but I like the colors together so well, I decided to make myself a pair of socks. This is only the second pair of socks for me. I made like 5 for other people in the meantime, but I need more for me so that I can wear them. And the last thing I have that I've just recently started, I started this, I think the day before Easter or something. I just did a little bit of a swatch and then casted it on. So I decided to do a cowl out of fingering weight scraps because I had a bunch of like sock scraps and different scraps that kind of match each other. So the black, I had to buy a black for the Halloween knit along. Mine, the color is called Cauldron. It's a really beautiful black. I'd have to go downstairs to find the label, but we'll talk about it next time as well because it's not done yet, so you'll be seeing it next time. And this white, I actually had to go shop for. It is Keenan's hand-dyed yarn. Where's the color? Okay, I guess I'm just gonna take it out. The color is Irish Girl at North Ave Beach. I think it has been like she did like a bit of a wash over it to make it, I mean, it's dyed. I don't think it's a natural white. I think it's like washed with a bit of some kind of color on it. And this is very thin. It's a little bit thinner than some of my other. I really, really like it though. It's really beautiful. But the white is definitely a little bit thinner than some of the other colors I have of scraps. Like this green is almost a sport weight. And this pattern is called Abstruse. It's inspired by like abstract art. I'm pretty happy with it. It's going really quickly. A lot of that I did in like a day or two. Again, while we were watching Succession or while like people were over. It's at least halfway done. It is gonna be worn over the head in like a traditional way. I did a couple more ladder backs. Because that's 8 stitches. So I did a white ladder in the middle of my 8 stitches. Where are my other ladders? Let me find them for you. In this section, again, that green circle is 9 stitches across. So I did a ladder in the middle of it, in the white, and then sometimes in the black, depending on what row it was. The blue has flecks in it, so that contrast is getting a little weird. This teal is so beautiful. So the teal and the orange are from my newspaper pullover that I reknit recently. So I have those scraps. I have some other sock scraps, the tan. I literally have no idea what it is. It's just a ball of mystery yarn that's in my little box of scraps. And that is it. I'm gonna have to put the name of the designer up on the screen, or let me see. Let me get the designer name for you. This is another one where you can kind of mix and match your gauge, and you can, all the charts are separate, of course, and you can just change up your colors all the time. Like I'm not doing exactly what colors it says. I'm mostly doing the same colors that it says, but my yardage isn't 100% the same. Yeah, I'm not following exactly what the colors are in there. Like I was supposed to have, I think, another blue, and I just didn't have another blue. So we're inventing some of it. Melanie Rice. I knew her name was Melanie, but I just didn't want to be wrong. This design is by Melanie Rice. I'm pretty happy with it. I can actually get this over my head if I'm careful. Oh no, I can. I've done it already. Watch me like break my needles. Okay. So it's gonna sit on my neck like that and just get stacked up so you can see like different parts of it. I think it's gonna be a nice option for like biking to work or like walking around to get, I work downtown, so I walk to restaurants a lot for lunch and stuff like that. So yeah, I absolutely just love abstract patterns like this. I don't like things with words on them, and even though this has like designs that are recognizable, I more like the floral stuff. I would pick squares and triangles over bunnies and ducks and stuff typically. So this is very much my vibe. And there's not like other Ravelry projects for this one either. So definitely check her out. Go ahead and go look at her designs, Melanie Rice. She has lots of collections that have like similar, like she'll have like a set of like 4 or 5 items that have very similar vibes or similar color work, but you can pick like which piece it is that you want to make. I have been behaving myself with weaving in my ends and doing my floats and everything because I'll be wearing this end of it against my body, and like people might be able to see a little bit of it from time to time. So I've been trying to behave myself. This video is long enough, so I guess we'll see you next time. In April, I'm going to be making my sister-in-law a tank top for her birthday. Her birthday is not till the end of May. So you'll see that. I expect this to be done. The socks will be done, and I have more scraps sock projects to do as well. Both of these, thankfully my grandma and my aunt have small enough feet that the leftovers from their socks are enough that as long as I do a heel color, I don't make them too long, I can use these up on like some shorter socks for me. So I'm pretty excited about that. I hope you're doing well. I hope you don't have the terrible 2-week cold that I have. I hope your power didn't go out. I hope you did not have a blizzard. But all of that happened to us. So happy April. Happy eclipse to all who celebrate. Happy spring to everybody who does not live where I live who's experiencing spring. Happy fall to my folks in the Southern Hemisphere. Go ahead and subscribe and join the other 100 and some people who are here. Bye. Thanks for stopping by.